seekers of the macabre. I'm Vincent, your guide through the shadowy realm of nightmares in Onyx. Tonight, we delve into a tale that will make you question the very foundations of America's most cherished family holiday. Prepare yourselves for a journey where the sins of the past become the terrors of the present, and where the true cost of a feast is paid in blood. Our story unfolds in the picturesque town of New Plymouth, Massachusetts, a place where history seeps from every cobblestone and colonial building. It's a town that prides itself on its direct lineage to the Mayflower Pilgrims, where the founding families can trace their roots back to that fateful first Thanksgiving in 1621. At the heart of our tale is the Winthrop family. Richard, a prominent local historian and descendant of John Winthrop, his wife Eleanor, chair of the town's Thanksgiving Festival Committee, and their children, 18-year-old Abigail and 16-year-old Caleb. The Winthrops are New Plymouth royalty, their name synonymous with the town's proud colonial heritage. As November arrives, New Plymouth buzzes with preparations for its annual Thanksgiving Heritage Festival. This year is special. It's the 400th anniversary of the first Thanksgiving, and the town plans to celebrate in grand style. The Winthrops are at the center of it all, with Richard set to unveil a newly discovered historical document at the festival's opening ceremony. But as the festival approaches, strange occurrences begin to plague the town. It starts small. Crops wither overnight, animals flee from their pens, and an unseasonable chill settles over New Plymouth. The townspeople brush these events off as odd coincidences, too caught up in festival preparations to pay them much mind. Abigail Winthrop, however, can't shake the feeling that something is terribly wrong. A sensitive soul with an interest in her colonial heritage, a part of her ancestry her father prefers not to discuss, she's been having vivid, disturbing dreams. In them, she sees figures in traditional Patuxet dress, their eyes filled with sorrow and rage, pointing accusingly at her family's home. 3 days before the festival, Abigail confides in her brother Caleb about her dreams. To her surprise, Caleb admits he's been experiencing something similar. "There's more," he whispers, glancing nervously at their father's study door. "I overheard Dad talking on the phone about the document he found. Abs, I think he's trying to hide something about our family's history." Intrigued and unsettled, the siblings decide to investigate. That night, they sneak into their father's study and discover the document, a weathered journal belonging to their ancestor, Ezekiel Winthrop. As they read, their blood runs cold. The journal details a dark secret, the true events following that first Thanksgiving. Ezekiel writes of a sacred pact made between the Pilgrims and the Patuxet, a promise of eternal friendship and shared prosperity. But he also recounts how that pact was betrayed, describing in chilling detail the orchestrated massacres, broken treaties, and stolen lands that followed. Most disturbing of all, Ezekiel writes of a powerful Native American ritual that the Pilgrims had secretly observed and stolen. This magic allowed them to reset their lives with each generation, granting them virtual immortality. "We feed on stolen time," Ezekiel wrote, "our youth renewed by the very forces we sought to destroy." As Abigail and Caleb absorb this shocking information, they hear footsteps approaching. Quickly, they take photos of the journal's pages with their phones before slipping out of the study. Moments later, they watch from the shadows as their father enters the room, retrieves the journal, and hurriedly leaves the house. The next day, an air of foreboding hangs over New Plymouth. The sky is a sickly green, and an unnatural silence has fallen over the town. As evening approaches, the Winthrops host a pre-festival dinner for the town's founding families. Abigail and Caleb exchange worried glances as their father prepares to give a toast, the hidden journal weighing heavily on their minds. Richard raises his glass, his voice ringing out with practiced charm. To 400 years of prosperity, he begins, but his words are cut short by a deafening crack of thunder. The lights flicker and die, plunging the room into darkness. When dim emergency lights sputter to life, the dinner guests find themselves trapped, all exits sealed by an invisible force. The temperature plummets, their breath misting in the suddenly frigid air. And then, they appear. Spectral figures materialize around the room, their forms flickering like old film footage. They're dressed in a mix of traditional Patuxet garb and tattered colonial clothing, their eyes burning with centuries of pain and anger. At their head stands a regal Native American woman, her gaze fixed on Richard Winthrop. 400 years, she intones, her voice echoing with the weight of generations. 400 years we have waited, watching you thrive on broken promises, stolen lands, and pilfered magic. The cycle is complete. The debt is due. Panic erupts as the spirits advance. The founding family members find themselves reliving the horrors inflicted upon the Patuxet, but this time, the torment is all too real. Mrs. Alden, wife of the town's mayor, suddenly clutches her throat, gasping for air as her lungs fill with fluid. She collapses, her skin erupting in the telltale rash of smallpox. Mr. Bradford, the bank president, ages rapidly before their eyes, his skin sagging, teeth falling out as scurvy takes hold. He crumbles to dust in seconds. The Standish twins, star athletes of the local high school, scream in agony as phantom arrows pierce their bodies, blood spurting from wounds that appear out of nowhere. Their parents watch in horror, unable to move as their children are scalped by invisible hands. Eleanor Winthrop withers away, her body consumed by starvation, her stomach distending grotesquely before she falls, little more than a skeleton. Richard Winthrop finds himself surrounded by spectral warriors, their tomahawks and knives slicing into his flesh. He falls to his knees, blood pouring from countless wounds. Throughout this chaos, Abigail and Caleb cling to each other, watching in terror as their parents and neighbors suffer the fate of those they had wronged centuries ago. The spectral leader turns her attention to them, her eyes boring into their souls. "The sins of the fathers fall to the children," she says, her voice like ice. "What do you offer in recompense?" Trembling, Abigail steps forward. "The truth," she says, her voice barely a whisper. "All of it. We found the journal. We know about the stolen magic, the lives you've taken to extend your own. We'll tell everyone what really happened, what's been covered up for centuries." Caleb joins his sister. "We'll return what was stolen. The artifacts, the lands, the magic. Whatever it takes to make this right." The spectral woman considers them for a long moment. "Truth for truth. Life for life," she says finally. "We accept your offer. But know this, we will be watching. If your promise is broken, like those that came before, our vengeance will be absolute." With those words, the spirits begin to fade. As they disappear, so too does the invisible barrier trapping the dinner guests. The few surviving adults flee into the night, their screams echoing through the streets of New Plymouth. In the days that follow, the town is in turmoil. The Thanksgiving Heritage Festival is canceled as the truth of New Plymouth's history comes to light. The founding families, those few who survived the spirit attack, age rapidly as their stolen magic fades. Within weeks, they've all passed away, leaving their children to face the consequences of centuries of deception. Abigail and Caleb find themselves at the forefront of a movement to acknowledge the town's true past and work towards genuine reconciliation. It's a long, difficult road, fraught with resistance and setbacks. But, as months pass, small changes begin to take root. The following November, Plymouth hosts a different kind of gathering. It's smaller, more somber, focused on education and healing rather than celebration. As Abigail helps serve a meal of traditional Patuxet and English dishes, she feels a chill run down her spine. For a moment, just a moment, she sees the spectral figures watching from the shadows, their expressions inscrutable. And so, dear viewers, we come to the end of our journey through the dark side of Thanksgiving. As you gather with your loved ones this holiday season, take a moment to consider the true cost of the feast before you. For in the annals of history, every meal has its price, and some debts can only be paid in blood and truth. If this tale of Thanksgiving terror has chilled your blood and stirred your imagination, why not share that delicious dread with others? Take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment below. Perhaps share your own family's Thanksgiving traditions. Who knows what dark secrets might be lurking behind those cherished customs? Or tell us about a time when a holiday gathering took an unexpected turn. Your stories fuel our nightmares, and we're always hungry for more. And remember, every like, subscribe, and comment feeds the algorithm beast, ensuring that more unsuspecting souls stumble upon our little corner of the internet. After all, misery loves company, and what's a feast without guests? Until next time, this is Vincent, your host in the realm of nightmares in Onyx, reminding you that sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones we tell ourselves. Sleep tight, if you can.